There is a big story going on right now in the world of news. It involves a very powerful man named Robert Murdoch and his big company called News UK. People are talking about a famous newspaper called The Times. Some people who watch these things think that Prince William might have to make a very big choice soon. I am a person who likes to watch what happens next, and I think Prince William will do what he thinks is right for his family. I was told recently that King Charles is very, very sad inside. He feels hurt by everything that has happened with his son, Harry, and Harry's wife, Meghan. It is a very sad situation for a father to be in. Even though he is a king, he still has feelings like any other dad. His heart is heavy because his family is not together like it used to be. A writer named Tom Bower spent 2 whole years acting like a secret detective. He wanted to find out what was really happening in the world of Harry and Meghan. He didn't just guess, he actually talked to 80 different people. Some of these people were very close to the royal family. Many of them were too afraid to use their real names because they didn't want to get in trouble. Tom found out many secrets that he couldn't even tell anyone before now. One of the most surprising things he found out happened just 2 days before the whole world knew the name of Harry and Meghan's new baby girl. Someone had already gone onto the internet and bought a website with the baby's name on it. They locked it down so they could use it for a business. This shows that they were thinking about money even before the baby was born. Tom is going to write a second book in March to tell all the stories he had to keep secret the first time. It is not going to be a happy story like the ones in your favorite books. People are also talking about when the baby was born. Some people think parts of that story were made up to look a certain way. We all remember the first big interview they did, but let's look at what happened with the baby's name. Someone bought the website Lilibet.com 2 days before the name was announced to the public. That is a very big deal. Harry's own family members, like his dad and his brother, had not even been told the name yet, but the website was already ready for business. It wasn't bought after the news came out. It was bought before anyone outside of their own house knew anything at all. Then Harry called his grandmother the Queen. He didn't ask her if he could use her special name. He just told her that was the name they were using. Lilibet was a very private nickname that only the Queen's closest family used for 70 years. It was a very special name that you should not just take without a real long talk first. When a news group called the BBC said that Harry did not ask for permission, Harry and Meghan's team got very upset. They said it wasn't true, but some people think that Harry and Meghan do not always tell the whole truth. If they really did have permission, they could have just asked the palace to say so. If the palace said, yes, we are all happy about the name, then the fight would have stopped right away. But that didn't happen. Instead, the palace stayed very quiet. The BBC did not take back their story because they knew they were right. Harry's team never showed any papers or proof that the Queen said it was okay. The silence from the family told the whole story. The most important part of this is that the idea to buy the website probably didn't come from Harry. Harry grew up in a world where he never had to think about making money or starting a brand. For 30 years, he lived in palaces where you don't worry about buying website names or business deals. That is just not how he was raised to think. But Meghan is very different. She has been working on her own personal brand since she was a young girl. She had a blog, she met lots of people, and she worked hard to make herself look perfect to the world. She always looks for a chance to turn things into a business. When she saw a special family name, she probably saw it as a way to make a lot of money. She saw things like clothes, toys, and media deals that could all have that name on them. Buying the website before talking to the family shows a specific way of thinking. It means you care about the business part first and the family part second. Someone from Harry's royal world would never act like that, but it is exactly how a person who wants to build a big company would act. You can see the difference between them very clearly. Harry thinks about rules and respect for the family. Meghan thinks about chances to win and making sure she owns everything before anyone else can take it. It wasn't an accident that the website was bought so early. Someone knew how much that name was worth and they wanted to make sure they had it. Tom Bower talked to 80 people, but many of them were too worried to let him use their names. They wanted to stay hidden because they didn't want Meghan or Harry to know they were talking. Tom had whole parts of his book that he had to leave out because he couldn't share them yet. But people are saying the second book will be even more of a surprise. It will show what was happening behind those perfect smiles. Meghan used to live in a world where who you knew was the most important thing. She made friends with a man named Marcus Anderson who worked at a fancy place called Soho House. He helped her meet people she could never have met on her own. Marcus gave her a way to get into rooms with very rich and famous people. When Harry and Meghan got married, 60 people from that fancy club were there. That is a very high number for just one club. Meghan was only on a small TV show in Canada back then, so having that many fancy connections is very unusual. It shows that she was working very hard to be part of that world. People told Tom Bower that they wondered how she paid for her expensive life before she was truly famous. Being on a TV show doesn't always give you enough money to travel and live such a fancy life. So, people want to know where the money came from. The world Meghan lived in before she met the prince was very different from the story she tells now. It seems like her old life was wiped away on purpose. Whenever a person was no longer helpful to her, they were cut out of her life. They didn't just drift apart, they were gone forever. Her father is a big example of this. Once he wasn't useful for her new life, she stopped talking to him. She left him all alone to deal with all the news cameras. He was the man who raised her, but she acted like he didn't matter anymore once he became a problem. Her first husband was treated the same way. When that marriage ended, it was very cold and fast. Once he wasn't part of her plan, she moved on without looking back. She also stopped talking to her old friends from before she was famous. She wanted to build a new image, and the people who knew her before didn't fit that image. Tom Bower found that this was something she did long before she met Harry. She would isolate someone and make them rely only on her. She would remove anyone who might ask questions. Now Harry is the one who is isolated. He is in California and he is cut off from almost everyone he knew before. He doesn't have his old friends to talk to. He only has Meghan and the people she says are okay. This is a pattern that has happened over and over again. Many people watched the big interview with Oprah Winfrey. 50 million people saw it, most of them believed every word Meghan said, but Tom Bower looked at it like a detective. He found 17 things that did not match the truth. These were not small mistakes. They were big stories that were told to make people feel a certain way. For example, Meghan said they got married in secret in their backyard 3 days before the big wedding. She said it was just them and one other person. It sounded like a very sweet and private story, but the man who was supposed to have done the wedding said that wasn't true. He said they just practiced their promises. The big wedding on TV was the real one. Meghan also talked about things that were said about her baby Archie, but when Tom Bower checked the dates and talked to other people, the timing didn't work out. The stories she told made people feel very sad for her and angry at the royal family. That was her goal. She wanted people to take her side. It worked for a while, and people all over the world started to have very strong opinions. But now that people are checking the facts, the stories are falling apart. It is hard to believe someone when so many of their stories don't match the truth. This was a plan to make her look like a hero and everyone else look like a villain. When Harry and Meghan went to Australia, she wore very expensive jewelry that belonged to Princess Diana. It was worth $300,000. Her team made sure that every newspaper knew she was wearing it. They did this again when she went to Nigeria and Colombia. It was a plan to make people think she was just like Princess Diana. She wanted people to give her the same love and respect that they gave to Harry's mother. But you cannot just wear a watch and become a legend. Princess Diana spent many years doing hard work to help people. She helped people who were very sick, and she walked through dangerous places to save others. She earned that love through many years of being kind. You cannot borrow a legacy just by wearing jewelry. People who remember Diana can see through the plan. They remember a woman who really cared about others, not someone who was just trying to build a brand. Meghan seems to think that if she looks the part, people will believe it, but jewelry is just a prop. Real respect comes from doing good things when no one is watching. People aren't fooled for long. They can tell when someone is being real and when someone is just acting. The jewelry didn't make people love her more. It just made them notice that she was trying very hard to be someone she isn't. Back in 2017, Harry had a weekend with his old friends. These were the guys he had known since he was a little boy. They made some jokes, but Meghan did not think they were funny at all. She told them they were wrong right there in front of everyone. His friends started to call her the fun police because she was so strict. After that, she told Harry he had to stop being friends with them, and Harry did it. He stopped talking to the people who knew him best. When he got married, those friends were not even invited to the small party after the wedding. It was a very clear sign that his old life was over. Now Harry has no old friends around him. He is alone with Meghan in a big house. This is what she does. She makes sure the person she is with doesn't have anyone else to turn to. Even the boss of Vogue magazine, Edward Infel, had a hard time with her. He is a very important man in fashion, but Meghan tried to tell him how to do his job. He finally said he would never work with her again. Other famous people in Hollywood are also staying away. They don't want to be part of the drama. They have their own businesses to worry about, and being near Meghan and Harry is becoming bad for business. Last year, Meghan skipped a big party because she didn't think it was fancy enough. But this year, she showed up because she is worried that people are forgetting about her. Their big deals with Netflix and Spotify are not doing well. People at Spotify even made jokes about how they didn't do any work. They are losing money and they don't have any new jobs coming in. Their only way to make money now is to tell more secrets about the royal family, but people are getting tired of hearing it. They are in a very difficult spot. They need money for their big house and their security, but the chances to make that money are disappearing. Tom Bower says that Meghan is a very tricky person. He has seen how she operates and how she changes her story to get what she wants. She plans everything out but acts like it is all a surprise. The gap between the happy story they tell and the real truth is very large. In March, we will learn even more when the new book comes out. The world is finally starting to see what was really going on. It is not the fairy tale they tried to sell us. It is a story about business, plans, and cutting people out. If you want to know the truth, you have to look at the facts, not just the pretty pictures. The real story is just beginning to be told.